The dangers of trading emerging cryptos. Now, what my definition of emerging cryptos are basically cryptos ranking from about 200 and below. Okay, I would consider those to be smaller cap cryptos. I mean, even by the technical definition, it's like 300 million or below, right? Those are going to be your emerging cryptos, at least in my opinion. And those are going to be your riskier crypto coins, right? I hold quite a bit of those, so I can tell you a lot about them, including that they can go down 30-50% in a week. But they also have huge upside potential as well when the market is right, especially when we're in a bull market. I still think we're in a bull market because Bitcoin still has broken through that 110K level. I still see bullish consolidation, even though after yesterday's drop, it was a pretty steep drop. A little bit scary, but I've been mentioning quite a bit of short-term moving averages coming up to the price action that could be supports, and I've updated my charts based on yesterday's drop, and I'll tell you guys about it. I'll also let you guys know some altcoins in this market. What are their updated setups? Some of my viewers have asked about them, so I'm gonna be showing you guys Tars AI, which is Thai USDT or USD. Also gonna be talking about Stronghold SHX, which had some pretty strong price action lately, as well as LOKA, which has been loco for this week. Okay, it's LOKA, and that's League of Kingdom Arenas. See what's going on in these markets. Are there dip opportunities, even though there has been some pumps? Also, going to be taking a look into some major market news. We had some major market news today that has flipped the Fed's rate cut probabilities in September, which I think has a lot to do with this bounce here. So we're going to be taking a look into that. We're going to talk about some news first, and then we're going to get into the charts and the altcoins. If you guys want to skip over to the altcoins, it's going to be after the 10-minute mark. I highly don't recommend it because Bitcoin is still the driver of this market. If Bitcoin dumps, so will your altcoins, okay? But if Bitcoin starts pumping from here, that's going to be very good. So you want to be rooting for Bitcoin. I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on a lot of altcoins. So my opinion on this market is still bullish, but that's just my opinion, not financial advice. So let's go ahead and go to some major market news first. Okay, this is by ZY Crypto. Bitcoin to smash 138,000. Historically bullish signal suggests bullish reawakening. I agree. But I am bullish. My opinion is bullish, right? I did mention that there is bearish divergence on the weekly RSI and the monthly RSI. But there has been exceptions during major breakouts that these bearish signals could get invalidated. It's not 100%, but there has been examples before. One is back in November 2024. That was the weekly bearish divergence getting invalidated. Second one would be December 2020, monthly RSI, bearish divergence, invalidated. That was a major breakout. October 2017, monthly RSI divergence, invalidated. Also a major breakout. So I'm just pointing out to you that even though divergence means that there is usually going to be a pullback, there still could be exceptions, namely in these major breakouts. Is it 100% going to happen? No, but you know, all I need is some data reference, right? To kind of gauge the probabilities and confidence of my bets. All right, let's go ahead and so 138,000. I've talked about a target of about 145,000 for Bitcoin. So I mean, 138,000. It's somewhere in there. So I don't disagree with that. Next is also by ZY Crypto. Altcoins are draining Bitcoin's liquidity. Correlation signals a warning. Expert reviews. I'm just gonna react to this headline here without getting into too much details. Altcoins, especially Ethereum, has been catching up to Bitcoin. But this headline sounds like it's bad for Bitcoin. I don't think so because I think the market is just rotating into altcoins. I think that's a good thing, right? I especially if there's going to be more buyers coming into Bitcoin, right? That's what I saw back in January 2021, February 2021, right? When Bitcoin was taking a dip, but the altcoins were catching up. So I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, especially if there's more buyers coming into Bitcoin. And I'll show you guys a Google Trends later. Why I still think this bull cycle is still on for Bitcoin. And retail interest. Why I think retail interest is still trending up. Okay. All right, next piece here is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin traders warns 123K was a top. How low can Bitcoin price go? I mean, we have quite a bit of moving averages, shorter term moving averages, daily moving averages below the price action right now. I mean, if it starts, flopping below 110K, then I'll be worried. But right now, I still see bullish consolidation, which is good for Bitcoin and the altcoins. Next piece here is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin rejects at 116K despite US job wins as Fed rate cut bets pass 75%. Yeah, I mean, it got a short term rejection at 116K, but I mean, I still think it's actually gonna get back above 116K, and I'll show you guys why. All right, let's go to the next piece here. But this was significant. This was significant because yesterday or even the day before, right? I showed you guys the CME Watch tool, which has been very accurate in predicting in terms of probabilities of a rate cut. Yesterday I showed you guys that a September rate cut was about a 40 something percent. Now we have actually went all the way back up to above 80%. And I think this is the main reason why. Okay, this is by CNBC. U.S. added just 73,000 jobs in July, and numbers for prior months were revised much lower. Wow. So I mean, yeah. So the job market is not looking great. That's definitely a reason for a rate cut, and I think that's why this probability of a rate cut in September has significantly increased. Okay, that is good news. For a rate cut, of course, it's not good news for jobs. But in terms of financial markets, that's what we're looking for. Okay. So this is why I think we're still looking bullish right now. Okay, I think we're set for a bounce. Let's take a look. Last piece here, crypto potato. Bitcoin price analysis. Bitcoin troubles just getting started after 3% daily decline. I mean, this person probably doesn't know how to trade or read technical charts. Let's just go to the charts here, okay? What I'm seeing here on this Bitcoin daily charts, right? So I just want to tell you guys, I updated my chart yesterday, okay? There was a smaller falling wedge pattern there where it looked like the daily candles were still trying to stay above the upward trend line of that smaller falling wedge pattern breakout. However, since yesterday's daily candle close, it did get a decisive daily candle close right back into the pattern. What happens if I see a breakout with a flop, with a solid candle close going back into the pattern? I invalidate that pattern and rechart the pattern here. And what we have here now is a falling wedge on the daily time frame. Okay, so small adjustments, but I'm still seeing a falling wedge here, which is still a bullish pattern. It still usually breaks to the upside. Okay, I mentioned the 4-hour 200 SMA to be the next level of support is still holding right now. The orange line here, 100, just right underneath 115K here. So very important we stay above that. Even though falling wedges usually break to the upside, there's still downside risk. And if that breaks, then what I would be looking at as the next level of support would be about the daily 50 SMA, currently at about 112K there, right? If this breaks to the upside here, we have a price target of about just right above 125K, okay? And I'm still looking at this major breakout here that happens, that in my opinion started this bull cycle, which would put Bitcoin at about 145K. This is the weekly time frame cup and handle. All right, let's go ahead and go to some altcoins. I know you guys are here for the altcoins, but Bitcoin must be understood, right? It is still the driver of this market. Let's go ahead and go to Tars AI TAI USDT or USD, very pretty much the same thing. What I'm seeing here, so this is a much smaller altcoin. Okay, this is ranking like 600 and below. You're gonna see that volatility in here. Okay, there's major upside, but it also comes with major downside. Okay, so just so you know what you're getting yourself into if you're trading this coin. Now I talked about this 3 day time frame. This 3 day time frame here. And there was a falling wedge, broke out of it. This pattern, this breakout, still valid because even though after the breakout, the price action has been on a downward trend, it is still above this upward trend line with candle closes, with solid candle closes. Now, if we start getting 3 day candle closes below this, back into this pattern, solid candle closes, then I would invalidate this pattern and rechart it. But right now, this breakout is still valid, even though it's looking like, it's not looking good, but it's still valid. The price target here is still 13 cents for Tars AI, okay? Now, that is a short-term price target, and price targets are estimates only, okay? There could be more or less. Very much depends on Bitcoin. Very much depends on how the market is. I still think we're in a bull market, but Bitcoin has been experiencing some turbulence lately. Right, let's take a look into a shorter time frame and see what we could be dealing with. 4 hour. It looks like probably even a smaller time frame here. Hourly time frame. Okay, this is still a valid falling wedge pattern in my opinion, because even though we don't have 3 exact candle touching, that's still close enough to me. Quite a bit of divergence signals, right, on the RSI. This is the hourly time frame. Could it actually break out of this pattern? Right, this is make or break for Tars AI here. If it doesn't break out of this pattern here and it breaks to the downside instead and breaks this falling wedge pattern, this could invalidate both the smaller falling wedge and the bigger one. Okay, now if it actually breaks out of this pattern by this point, let's just say for example, that would give Tars AI about a 71 cents price target. Right, very short term. See what happens after that. Either way, let's take a look into Stronghold. Okay, had quite a bit of a pump this week. Now I haven't talked about Stronghold for a little bit of time, but last time I talked about it, I saw a bullish pattern, right? I think that was on the, hang on here, that was somewhere in here, right, on this weekly time frame. I'm gonna go to daily time frame. I'm just zoom in a little bit. So this was a falling wedge pattern breakout, right? I talked about this last time. You guys can refer to my previous video on Stronghold. Price target was about 1.5 cents. Like I said, price targets are only estimates, and this time Stronghold went way above it, right? And then it reached about almost a 2.9, about 2.9 cents price level before getting a rejection. What could SHX be doing right now? 4-hour time frame, I zoom in to get a little bit more clarity, right? This is a falling wedge pattern again, broke to the upside again, like its probability would suggest. Price target here would be about 2.5 cents for Stronghold. So not, I mean, it's a smaller time frame, so smaller move. So what could happen if SHX, uh, you know, um, reach that 2.5 cents price target? It could come back here to about that 2.9 cents resistance level and potentially form some type of a cup and handle here. I think it's still too early to tell, but it is still having those rounded bottoms, right? Higher lows and higher highs. That is a potential scenario if it comes back to retest this resistance about 2.9 cents. Let's zoom out a little bit and see if I can. So that's basically where the all-time high is right now. At least in the shorter term that I'm seeing here, right? So this does seem to be the all-time high here, or the highest of the highs recently, 2.9 cents. So let's see what happens when it reaches that level. There is divergence on the weekly time frame that usually indicates a pullback. It hasn't come yet, but I'm just letting you guys know that it is there. There is reversal signal on the weekly RSI. So a pullback here is, still in the cards, okay? Which it usually indicates a pullback. So let's see which way SHX could go. Let's go to LOKA here. I had this position. I closed out at about 35 cents. Of course, that's way below where it went before it went completely nuts. But that's fine. I know I can't catch the extremes, right? And I'm fine with that price, with that profit I took, right? It was about a 50% target. I got in at about 20 cents, if I remember correctly, and I got out about 35 cents, which is fine to me. Maybe a more than a 50% target. But I'm fine with that. I know that I can't catch everything, and as long as I keep rolling over my profits and compound them and keep hitting my targets, I'm still in a good spot, right? So what could LOKA be doing here? It got a huge rejection. This is why I don't trade. I don't chase major green candles on the day of. This went up to about $1.30 before getting rejected, a nasty rejection all the way back down to where it is right now, right? I think it even went lower. So this was a falling wedge pattern that broke out, right? These are patterns you guys should definitely train your eyes to see. Very simple, very effective. It tells you after an extensive downtrend on that time frame, it usually breaks back out to the upside. Now, this is on the weekly time frame, so that was a huge pattern. Let's see on the hourly time frame what could be happening. Now, there are two scenarios that could happen here. Hourly time frame, okay, it is still trying to stay above this breakout here, as you guys can see. And hourly time frame, it could be building a cup and handle pattern, but it first has to break this upward trend line first, because if it doesn't, then this could be looking like a falling wedge pattern, and it could still take LOKA back down to about that upward trend line of that bigger falling wedge pattern, maybe 25 cents, right? So that's basically what I'm looking at for some of these coins. Let's see if there's any reversal signals on the higher time frames. Weekly time frame, it is in overbought, but not that overbought in my opinion. About 80. Okay, for altcoin, it's somewhat overbought. Okay. Daily time frame definitely was overbought at about 90. Took a dip. Okay. And basically I don't see any divergent signals on the daily time frame, but something to be watching out for on the next move up if it does move up from here. So this basically wraps it up for this video. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of these coins. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe if you guys do. And I'll see you on the next one.